Good afternoon. What date it is? The 17th. Um, Welcome to Second Thought, the kitchen edition. Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Um, we talk about what matters most. We talk about the kitchen, meaning the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter is discussed in the kitchen. The kitchen is where the family gather. The kitchen is where the soul is fed, where the body is fed. So we named it the kitchen matter or kitchen talk because we discuss not just pocketbook issue. We discuss for survivor story. We discuss everything from the day before the work out there and what is happening. Majority of us are living in the diaspora. It have been um, a rough year, meaning it have been a tougher couple of weeks. It has been. And I like to talk to our people, the people of Liberia and the people around the world, not just Liberia, people of the continent, the motherland of Africa, people of brown and black people, okay, and people, white people, Caucasian people also, okay. We have a responsibility if mankind must survive. Everything we're experiencing to some degree has happened before. And the future has been pre-told. Okay. We have the responsibility to change it, to change its direction based on what we do today, because the future is now. And because the future is now, it depends on what we do today, what we stand for. Okay, how stern we are in the process of what we stand for, if at all we're standing for something. Okay, now I'm going to come here and talk to you briefly on a few things. Remember, we're talking about, I'm going to bring this home first. Let me come home on the misinformation. I just did a short post on something here, so I would like to read it to the Liberian people and maybe post it to the Liberian people, to the African people for that matter. It's on my page. I would advise that you go there and you try to read it. Now, here we go. I saw this on the Liberian page. I'm not going to show that very much. Saw that. Where it says the U.S. Treasury Department were advising that people who are on welfare will not be able to send money to Liberia. If you all remember, any country for that matter, you all saw this week when Philip Brown wrote an op-ed analyzing the American system. Folks, let me tell you something. Everything that you see on AI is not what you write. AI is a machine and it's garbage in, garbage out. Okay? What you put in there, what people put in there, that way it collects. If people come in and ponder that Africans are this, Africans are that, when you put it up, that's what you're going to get. So let's get ourselves educated here. Okay? And what we're being told. I'm going to talk about three things and I'm going to leave. I'm going to talk about the election in Uganda. I saw some posts this morning. This is my opinion, and they're entitled to the opinion. Some my friends, some my family, some my stranger. Everybody, they post everywhere, even on Grab, on X, on the Thread, and all of these places where you have some African people and some young people hailing Museveni. I call him Museveni. That's not even his real word name. What he and his children are doing in Uganda. He and your whole family are doing in Uganda. If you are Liberian, I think that dictatorship is good. Listen, then why don't we keep doing that? Why do we run? Why? We are good when the shoe is on the other foot. That's what we are good at. And we talk that. There was no need for him to come and say he's going to do an election. If he just want to be the king, he and his family, then don't have an election. What's the essence of having an election? When you were harassed, you were tortured, you were arrested, you would take lives, okay? You would naked women in the street, beat up children. What would you do? During the independence movement, Jomo Kenyatta fought barefooted. The Mau Mau rebellious. Although Kenya started advocating for their independence before Nigeria, but because Kenya fought the English people so much that they didn't have enough manpower to put around, and Nigeria with its population and agreeing to the terms, the moment Nigeria decided they want their own independence, they got an independence before even the Kenya people who were advocating for that. But Kenya independence was hard won. It was bloody. Okay? And we see the other guy is selling everything, or the leaders that have gone are selling it. I made a statement last night that I said to all of the African people. And I said that, and I'm still making it. You know, there's a quote that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside cannot hurt you. And I say the enemy of Africa have always been majority of its leaders. They look out for they and their few children and their girlfriend and their friends, their relatives, and they leave the continent, they leave the nation without. Africa has everything to be great. We can see the common example in Burkina Faso in 3 years. In 3 years, we can see that. Why am I? Guys, hold on 1 second. There's too much light. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Okay, this is much better. This is much better because my face, I don't know, it's my lighting. Okay, this is much better. Yeah, it's my lighting. Yeah. Okay, and that's what I said. So now let me speak to this, and I'm gonna write this. I wrote this earlier. All right. When you all to listen. To those in Liberia who believe that over 40% of Liberians living in the United States live on welfare, this message is for you. It is firm, but it is also warm. I'm just speaking my mind, okay? And true. Most Liberians here work multiple jobs, overtime, long hours, and through that sacrifice, send over 800 million back to Liberia or home. This is not dependency. This is dignity. This is responsibility, love. I need you all to remember this. People on public assistance often do not receive enough to fully sustain themselves, let alone support other welfare. Let alone support other. Welfare is for what? Survival, not abundance. It is meant to keep one from falling or keep them afloat, not to finance another household across the boundaries or across the ocean. So the idea that people live comfortably on welfare while sending money abroad is simply disconnected from reality, where we are taught or where we are not taught. We have a responsibility. You got journalists in Liberia who are writing rubbish, who are assuming they're not informed, don't live in the system, don't understand the system, how it works, and they're just making, that's what they're doing. Just throwing words out there for the sake of the likes. Okay, here we go. Now, that some believe this reality is this, it diminishes sacrifices and sacrifice or mislabel resilience and dependency as dependency. I'm sorry. So when you hear, if you are on public assistance, you cannot wire money. a warning from the U.S. Treasury. Understand this. This is not an insult. It is accountability. Okay, if you're on welfare, if you're on public assistance, you should be trying to take care of yourself, not to take care of everybody else. So I would say that assistance is for basic survival and not for redistribution. Okay. Now, to deeply understand this, a society that misunderstands sacrifice will always misjudge its heroes. A nation that mocks the struggle of its children abroad will never fully grasp the price of survival. Now, those of us who send money to Liberia or to any other country for that matter, we're not doing it because we're rich, okay? But because we are more, we care for our people, we stay connected, and that's why we do that. When you call and say, my child does not have school fees, and somebody sent you, sometimes it's their gas bill, sometimes it's their light bill, sometimes it's their phone bill, sometimes it's the money that's supposed to fill up their rent. You see, people can't afford to stay home. They're in the snow going to work. They're in 100-degree weather outside working. It should account for something. Now, let me come back here. I'm going to come back here and talk about why that statement were made to begin with. All right. Let's talk about why the statement was made. And I just wrote a little note on that. Okay, I need you to remember this. I did a quick analysis on that statement. All right, as somebody who studied history. Where are we? Why is this not going? And then let me just back again. There is a story on Facebook about Ellen grandchild making fun of Liberia, using our pin to make fun. And some people are supporting it and say we're being sensitive. It was a joke. It can't be a joke when 250,000 lives were taken, when more than 1 million, in fact, more than 500,000 crossed the border, scattered around the world. The rest of them never returned home. The last group that returned from Ghana were living on crates. They put them in a zinc shack, sleeping on crates, nowhere for them to go. Most of them were born outside of the country because of the action of his grandmother. And he called himself a nipple baby. A nipple baby, the nepotism, that's what it means. Nepotism, however you pronounce it, okay? You know what that means? A nipple baby, what that means? It means people who start up front from others than their peers, based on their connection, based on their family lineage, the power that be, because the people were empowered to connect them. That's what nipple baby is, nepotism per se. That's what it means. All right. And somebody would tell me, as an informed citizen, as an educator, as somebody who studied history, a student of history, and a teacher of history, that it should not bother me when I have been speaking for more than a decade and been standing up for more than 4 decades and put my life on the line for that. But I should not say anything, because yes, some of you had an opportunity because of your connection. You enjoyed. You were in position. We get it. Some of you still looking to go back. Listen, power corrupts. But absolute power corrupt absolutely. Some of y'all were in power. Y'all when your old job back, they all the one working in line, went back to Liberia to get an old job back. I get it. But one thing though, one thing that all of us must understand is this. Give me 1 second. We are all connected. We are all connected. Okay, that's why I want you all to know. All right. So You know why we are treated the way we are treated in this country? We are treated this way because the leaders that we continue to hire have not put our country first, have not designed, have not led with so our nation can be respected. All right. And let me say, because I'm not really here long, all right, let me say to all of you who think, and y'all leave what you need, Louis Brown alone. Y'all leave Louis Brown alone. You are picking at Louis Brown because some of you are mad because he got that position and you wanted it. That's why you're picking at him. Leave him alone. Louis Brown did not just speak on Liberia terms. Okay? You put Louis Brown in that position when you got the seat, the security seat. So when something that threatened the security of the word is going to speak up. He was just the voice of the word speaking up. When you are a coward, it does not save you. It does not change it. It's just a matter of time as a coward that your time will come. Okay? During the time of Mao Zedong in China, in your leadership after the Civil War, you know what happened? He railroaded. He empowered young people. He empowered people that were struggling. Okay? To quite teachers, artists, intellectuals, people who will open the minds of the young people. That's what Mao did. He created his own book. They call it a little rare book that people should only listen to him. They were finding intellectuals to take them out, make sure that he got a totally new breed. So y'all leave Louis Brown alone. You're picking at Louis Brown for no reason. We know how we act in Africa. Y'all want his job, y'all can go and say we won the job, okay? But don't lie at that. He hits the UP-led government. He said that speech, he didn't write that speech. And I'm sure all of the leaders of the other country that were on that speech, they had an opportunity, per se, to listen to that speech, hear it out, proofread it, to make sure the tune and tenor was on point. So it was not just exclusively Louis Brown. He was just the method or the faster that the delivery was done through. All right? So you can put your tail between your butt and run, or you can put your hair in the sand. Eventually, this jump will come to your door. It did for World War II with Adolf Hitler. Those who look away, because they were not trade union, those who look away, they were not Protestant. Those who look away, they were not female. Those who look away, they were not Jews. Eventually, it got to their door. And let me tell you something. During the drought and the hard time in England, in its 1700, the fish ate fish. When they could not find food, when people at the higher echelon started borrowing money and they could not pay, they threw them in jail. Some of them stayed there and died from smallpox. That's why this country, this what we call Georgia, this state, that's why it was established, to give relief. That's why England started looking outside to find place to distribute their people. They choose Australia as a place that they would send the people who they thought committed crime, but they were pardoned to go there. And they built that nation. And we're all running there. And we keep choosing people who have no idea. They build nothing, and they will build nothing. And they come and sit and give you flowery words. You are good with speech. We jump up and down. We sing for speeches. Hey, Emmanuel. And that's what we do. All right? So that was not Louis Brown. Just stop it. Now, there is a scholar, an immigration scholar at a university that just wrote something on The Guardian. I want you all Liberian people who are talking to go there, okay? Go there and do this. Go there and read what the scholar wrote about immigration. It's something that I've also taught here in the class, okay, to some degree. So let's go here. Let me come here with you. Here it is. I need you to listen. This is my analysis from the article that he wrote. The article, Racial Quotas for Immigration, argues that a recent U.S. immigration policy looked like a return of racial quotas. Okay, at certain time in this country, Black people were not allowed to come in this country. They weren't. They weren't. And at this point, it really don't matter. We saw the white woman. When you have a nation that is not women friendly, let me say in my Malcolm X voice, any country that you go to and the women are behind, the country will be behind. America gained its most economic power when the men went away to war in World War II and the women went out to work. The bomber that was built, the ships that was built, they were built by women. Women were most of them, they even go to school. Women were all their life, they sat home. By the time their husband came away from war, the women were producing the bandages, the supplies. Some volunteered to be nurses, learning on the job. So Liberians, you got to rethink when you learn something. But let me continue. Okay. The policy stopped immigration visa processing for people from about 75 countries. The author believes this is similar to older immigration laws that use race and nationality to decide who is allowed into the United States. On January 14, 2026, the U.S. government paused immigration visa processing for people from many countries in Africa, Asia, Latin America, the Caribbean, and part of Europe. The government explained this by saying it wanted to prevent people who might depend on public assistance from entering their country. However, critics argue that this reasoning is misleading and unfair. All right, I want you to listen. Philip Brown, this is for you. Okay, this article compared this policy to the Immigration Act of 1924, known as the John Reed Act. Go look it up. That law created quotas based on national origin and was designed to favor certain European groups while excluding others. It was openly based on racial discriminatory ideas. I want you to remember that. So this is not about welfare, all right? This is not about welfare. Now, what you must understand is America does not even have that kind of welfare system. The system put in place in the 1930s by FDR. A disabled man, we say back on crippled man, says to all welcome, okay? I want you to say this to you. While all of you are looking for macho man, okay? He was not a macho man. But he had a heart for mankind. He had suffered polio. He came from a wealthy family. He went to boarding school. He was the cousin of Theodore Roosevelt. His cousin had been the U.S. president, the one who built the Panama Canal, the one who busted the gangster, the bootlegger that ran America raggedy. He was his cousin. When he took over, a lady named Penny Perkins, who has sat in the high-rise building in New York and saw a sweatshop burn of Italian to the ground. People died. And she devoted her life to advocacy. When he was running, she went to him and said, this is my proposal. When he won, he said, I can't get anybody else to implement it. This is great. That's how we change America. America were in a bad place. Americans were standing in line to get food, soup bowl, to get soup to eat. Men were busting store at night to steal for the family. Yes, when there's unemployment, there are hardship, people steal. When a few people control the economy of the nation, people steal. When people are desperate, they steal. They do unthinkable things to survive. This is what happened in Liberia. Okay? With Liberia, it's not just the government. I mean, with America, was not just the government. With Liberia, it's the government that's supposed to seek the welfare of the people. Okay? But let me finish reading this, then I will explain to you where we are, because I will veer off, okay? So the critic point out that most immigrants contribute more to the U.S. economy than they receive in benefit. Many are also not eligible for public assistance. Because of this, using welfare as a justification is seen as an excuse to limit immigration from certain regions rather than policy based on real evidence. Overall, the article argued that this policy is not just about visas. It reflects a deeper shift toward immigration practices that quietly bring back racial and national discrimination on an economic language. In closing, I wrote this, okay? This analysis showed that understanding history is important. When policies repeat past mistakes, even in new forms, okay, they threaten fairness, equality, human dignity. Immigration law should project justice, not disguise indiscrimination. I want you people to understand that. What I need you to understand is, in the United States, undocumented immigrants they pay taxes, but they don't get retirement, they don't get Social Security, they don't get food stamps. If they born their children here and they have Social Security, the children may get food stamps, may get this other benefits, but the parents don't. In the state I live in, Georgia, if you brought your people here old, they don't get welfare unless they work and they live here for 7 years. That's the way it works. So when they miss education, or they believe, okay, that what we taught or what we're teaching our people, especially for the so-called educated, when you get somebody like Philip Brown, who was an educator, he's a journalist, who's supposed to ask questions. I will ask you though, Philip Brown, this is not an attack to you, old man. You need to call the American and interview them. You need to talk to people who have been in the system for a long time, okay? You need to do research and find, okay, information that will what? Proof what is written. You just don't write, all right? Most Liberians in America, we work hard. We work long hours. Even those that are not in around age group that are doing well, they work 2 and 3 jobs at the same time going to school because they wanted to advance. When you see a 40, 50-year-old saying, I'm graduating from nursing school, I'm getting a PhD, I'm getting a master's degree, it's a sacrifice. It's long hours, coming from work 7, 8 o'clock, staying up till 1 o'clock, studying to meet the challenge so you can get a head start. So you can get a job that pay you at least 80, 90 or 6 figure and more to be competitive. So no. Most you hear the few highlights that we run to where the chaos is. Like if I were cussing and begin, you will have 200 people here watching me. All right? But if it makes sense, we do not gravitate towards where we make sense, where we can disseminate, we can learn, because it's too hard to think. So we just George. I get it. It's hard to think. Okay? So you will come to me, we will think together. That's the goal. That is the goal. All right. And those of you who in Liberia who think Bobby Wine is too young to lead, do you know the FDR report, how old he was? Do you know how old was President Obama? And you're talking about welfare. You know who get the most welfare in the United States? It's the corporation. How you think Elon Musk got rich? He got millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in welfare. They call it grants to support his research. What happened in 2006, 2007, when the housing market collapsed? Who stole from it? The corporate America. Who built it up? Our taxes we get. When Lehman Brothers on Wall Street, okay, they took all the money out and walked away with it. They said they don't want welfare, they want capital. So they are capitalists. When they don't want to contribute, they don't want to pay taxes. But then they're socialists. When their idea fail, when they suck the system, then we build them out. We give them money to start all over. We build out into the auto industry. We build out the financial industry. Then welfare is okay. Then democratic socialism works. And we say in the need to keep America working. We give them billions. We just gave them billions. We just did. But a child can be dying. And when the small money the poor aside finish, the mother has to tend to begging to make sure all the insurance will drop her. That's why Obama put in the affordable care. And you know the only reason that America does not have universal health care, because they don't want it for Black people. I live in Georgia, in the Quickland. In the 1930s, during the Great Depression, when FDR wanted to give money out to different states to boost the economy, to help the people, the governor of Georgia, Tom Rich, who was racist from at his core, okay, they said no. You know why they said no? They didn't want colored people to get the money. They wanted the money to be given to them, so they divide among themselves. When the government said, the federal government said no, they went back and they devised a new idea. You know what that new idea was? That new idea was, okay, we will take the money, but the money should be given to people who own land. Mind you, after the Civil War, the people have been slaves for almost 400 years. Their children have been considered property. When finally giving them right, they said it was what 2/3 or 1/3 of human being. It's not good to repeat, but you know what? History repeats this stuff and we learn nothing from it. And those who refuse to learn history, they're doomed to repeat it. So we must teach our children history, as bad as it should be. You know, yesterday I was talking to Ophia because I have a new team. I moved to a new team. One of the history teacher, and I say, whenever I get into the story of slavery, the first thing I say, even at the beginning of the year, I set the tune. But before we dive into slavery, I tell the children, the essence of learning history is not to make you bitter, but to make you better. Okay? Because you are the future, and because the future starts now. Things that you hear that makes you angry, things that you hear that embarrass you, you have a responsibility to think it through, to change it. And that's when leadership comes in. Now, that's when you look, and one of the teachers said, Miss Martin, I never thought about it that way. And I say, yeah. And that's how I get to ease my children, to meet me where I am, level up with me, lock in, so we can talk about how do you want to change the world? Do you think that treatment was correct? Then you get student voices, their input. What in the story that hurt them, that we're learning about apartheid? So I say, okay, so they left all the way across the ocean went to South Africa. Which are their rules, okay? There was rulership. We have direct rule, we have indirect rule. Indirect rules were divide and conquer. They chose a certain tribe in the country and they let them rule and use them to enslave their own people. The first thing is they did a divide and conquer. They split the nation, not based on the tribe that most African nations, even if it was kingdom, they live in groups as tribe. And now when they did that happen in Africa, okay, on the continent, they did that in Southwest Asia. That's why the commotion continues today. Sykes-Picot Agreement. They promise the Ottoman Empire and the other group, if you're fight with us and we win, we will do this, we will do that for y'all. The one, they stay divided the land. They don't keep their words. That's who they are. Okay, so here you are. You got 4 million people enslaved, 19 million people. I think in 17 or 19. I can pull it up. 4 million people. Y'all listen up. I come. Actually, there's a video here that I need to play that I had yesterday that I need to play with Bobby Wine. They say Bobby Wine's life has been located. All right, folks. Wow. Wow, what is happening in East Africa? God have mercy. Ugandans are covering their face, and I don't want to talk about that. I'm gonna focus on here. Let me focus on here because I'm gonna leave. Okay, let me focus on here. Let me focus on here. Oh, where is the video? It's not gonna last. I had a video. I had the video what the news reporter said. Okay, but we're gonna leave that alone since I don't have the video, and I'm almost done. I'm gonna give you the number. Give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. What is she, folks? I'm sure you guys see. Yeah, to do this podcast, you gotta do research. You gotta know what you're talking about because I don't want to miseducate anyone. So in that light, it is really important for me to have concrete information to pass those information on. That's the least I can do. Not the best that I can do, but the least that I can do. All right. Jesus. Oh, come on. Oh, Lord, okay, here we go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the numbers because I want to give you the number correct. I want to give you the correct number. I'm not going to log out. I'm gonna stay logged in. So let me go here. I want to stay logged in. Oh God, don't tell me this. Yep. Sorry, guys. I thought I had everything open, but apparently I don't. So because I don't, I gotta do it again. All right. Some of this, my system locks the moment I walk away. It has to because of the security purposes. Yep. All right. So here we go. I'm gonna give you the exact number. Okay. I'm gonna give you an exact number so we can see here where we is this where I'm at. Yep. Okay. So I was wrong. Here it is. So the South African, there were 4.5 million of them, and the black population was 19 million. Okay, they took what 87% of the land from them on their own continent, in their own land, and they left them with 13%. Then I went to that, they segregated them, they pushed them onto the quiet homeland. Okay, they gave them something called passbook. They're not allowed to leave. They literally like a prison. They're not allowed to leave. All right. They could only leave to go work for white people. This is not to incite violence. This is just to educate us. Okay. I want you to understand that. Okay. They spend on each child of the black $45 per child for education, $696 per child for a white child. Okay, I'm going to leave that right there. I want you to know that. So we're afraid of our own shadow. And when you hear apartheid, apartheid was the same thing that we call here after the Reconstruction, the call the Jim Crow law. Look into the Jim Crow law. Okay, they say black people were free, but they were not allowed to walk the streets. They were not allowed to raise their hand and look at a white person. They were not allowed to speak to a white person. This is not to divide. It is not. But when Liberian people are talking the way they talk, some of you just talk. You need to stop talking and start asking questions and do research. In today, let me advise you all. Here's Yamicho. If you're gonna write and you want good information, go to Google Scholar, not just Google. Don't just go to AI and put in stuff and say, write me. No. Go to Google Scholar and get information. Then read, because you have to take the time and do that. Read those information, have the reference point. Where are you speaking from? So you can educate all of us. Okay. Now let me come up. You have said that, and I need to put it. This is one of the reasons for me that I support somebody like Alexander Cummings. All right. I have worked with him at a community level, and I've seen and heard people that work with him when he worked for Pillsbury, because when he was retiring, I had an opportunity to be in the audience. People left from all over the world and came to give him his flower from Kenya, Nairobi, from Nigeria, from Europe, from South, all over the place. As far as people from Pillsbury that he worked before, that he rescued when it was at the verge of bankruptcy and rebuild it. Today, it still exists. You pour that up, Pillsbury. Coca-Cola, where he's built, stay there and still making money for them. The prints are there. But we continue to hire people. Look at your biking Museveni. Museveni's daughter, that the Minister of Education, his son is in charge of the army. He's telling the people, nobody else will be. He think he will inherit the presidency. The last election 5 years ago, they kidnapped young people. They tortured them. Some of them, they cracked them. Some of them, they cut their mouth. Some of them, they cut out their tongue from the mouth. How do you lead the people that you say you're leading that way? And I hear some Liberian people say, sometimes dictatorship works. Then you're just create a kingdom. I guess it does. It does for 130 years. A few people rule the nation, what do we become? They were dictators. We live off the land. Majority of the so-called country people that got education, they got education from missionary. That's the facts. Your local Liberian schools, most of the initial school, like all the way up with the crack tribes that would be along the southeastern part of Liberia, they were built by missionaries. How many schools that were Yekepa, where you thought the people say, I went to Karaha, I went to B school, I went to E school, I went to that school. It was built not by Liberian government, it was built by the construction company. In fact, when the company decided they wanted to build the road from Monrovia to Nimba into the mountains, the president at the time said, no, you'll give us the money, we will build it. They never built it. And that is not to cause harm or to bring friction, but these are true. The first person to have brought car was the superintendent, Dunbar. Our people have to tow the cars on their head. Listen, I am a proud country girl, but here's what I believe. I believe there's not enough country people in Liberia to change Liberia. I do believe that there's not enough Congo people in Liberia to change Liberia. It would take us first and foremost to be Liberians and together for us to decide no more that we are first and foremost Liberian. I'm saying that because I see people show up, I'm a country girl, I'm a Congo girl, I have to say that. Now, what is Congo? Me living in America and my children being born here. My children will not call themselves Congo. Congo. African American. Afro-American. Negroes. No, we are Liberians. That's our identity. Our genealogy runs all the way deep into the soil of the motherland. It does not matter how many years it took. How do we then become to respect ourselves when we don't build a nation? I saw a post this morning about a lady who is very prominent. Okay. In the Liberian arena. We had the same shock in 2003. A Liberian woman left 1 year and went to Liberia to work at the school there. Brilliant woman. She had a brain hemorrhage. They collected the money. But they could not get her out of the country on time. She died. So I'm thinking the life you save might just be yours or your family. I live in Georgia. I live next door to a man who owns a company, a construction company right here. The one behind me right here, the wife is a doctor. All the children in our house went to some sort of medical school. They're nurse practitioner or something. We walk and say hello and pass. I'm an educator, my husband an engineer. They say the only thing we have, they say privacy fence is here. But you go into the government, you spend 87%, 90% of the country money on yourself. You build yourself mansions, you build building. So the first thing that Traore did and doing, building housing to relocate his people so he can change their mind. Those that farming, they bought them farming equipment and material. They didn't give them money. You know why they put money aside in Liberia? The very people who know how to get that money, they will go back, they will set up pseudo account with their family and friend, they will show up, they will get them the money, or divide it, just like they did doing Mill Jonestown. Nothing will happen, nothing will change, because the hair is rotten. So let me say this. There's a need to redirect. There's a need for us Africans to change the way leadership is. Okay? And they are, well, we're teaching about people is a lot. Let me say to somebody wrote today and say Obama deported people. He did. He did. We didn't see the drama. Lele get that they just deported to Liberia. Martina, that you're called Black Diamond. I see all of a sudden Liberian people are in gear for justice. They're selective. They point at people, their own killers, they're not working. Y'all were just dancing for butt naked. In fact, my niece graduated yesterday, and I will talk about her in Canada at 3-year-old with butt naked. She still remember the trauma that man caused her. 3-year-old, she still remember. She was featured in the what do you call it, Trenton Times, telling her love story as a child in third grade when they took refuge in America. Yesterday, finally, she graduated from nursing school on Wednesday. She still remembers. You got the children of killers and child molester all in government. Don't tell me I'm not taking on the parents. Guess what? The children are the direct beneficiary of the loot and the criminality of the family, of the parents. And you know who suffer the most? The children in the country who are deprived. I don't care what who says. You know why? When the mafia ready to execute, they don't execute the family, the parents. They come for the children, the people that they love, because that's where their heart is. I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. When you have somebody like Ellen, grandson, breaking, I'm a nipple baby. But your grandma get $10,000 for my life to be interrupted. For me to leave and end up in other people's country. Today, like Philip Lawrence said, I'm a woman without a country per se. The country that took us in turned deeply against us. And I see Liberian people, they self-hate with us. They internalize racism and looking for the Black Jesus in the wall. That me. But let me stop and go. My time is over. Let me say to you, most Liberians in the United States now on welfare. And now let me speak to y'all. The other group. Brian McGill, you will always be a rapist to me. We are waiting for Coleman, Gregory Coleman, to give us the DNA report. Some of us can read DNA marking. We need to see it and when that DNA was taken and where it went. You got to give the report. You got to show us the results. You can't come and publicly say and walk away, Brian McGill. We also need to find out what is going on with Peter Jala, Peter Bon Jala. I learned he had molested an 8-year-old the same way. So we don't know how many kids he had molested. Where is he? Oh, Liberian people say, man, Louis Brown, the people that Louis Brown read, that the one where made Donald Trump put what do you call it, visa restriction on them, which is a lie. They can just talk because he hate the UP government, which is a lie. Okay, which is a lie. So Museveni's son wants to take over the country. We'll see how long you live by the soul, you die by the soul. Eventually, we'll see. We'll see the people of Uganda. And we're praying for the people of Uganda. Okay, folks, I will be setting up the movement, and we're gonna start going. I learned African Union Commission praised Uganda January 15, 2026 on the presidential peaceful. They did they say peaceful? I hope they did not say peaceful. I hope they did not say peaceful. That would be disingenuous. That would be an insult to the people of Uganda. Folks, I have spent my time. I'm here Saturday. We're going to start coming on at 12, exactly where it's like 5 o'clock in Liberia. 1 o'clock is good, at 6 p.m. And we take that from there. Okay. I'll talk to you later. God bless. I, again, I'm Yacindy Martin Peye. I'm an advocate. I'm a mother. Um, wow, I am a patriot. We talk. I'm going to stop coming on Sunday. I'm not going to come on Sunday. I'm going to take Sunday to rest. I'm getting back in school. So during the week, I'm on in the morning. We have the 10 minutes talk. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have conversations. Saturday morning, we do the kitchen talk. And we're going to start inviting people to have a conversation. I think Dolly will be my first guest. I'm going to invite her over here next Saturday so we can have a conversation. I love her perspective on the role of the diaspora that we're not here to enable. All right, we need to start taking care of ourselves. She talks about life insurance. She's talking about paying attention to our children. And I agree with her. My house used to be everybody's child house. Most of these children have grown, they've grown and become people of their own. They know their parents. I have my children. All right. Everybody look after their own. So if I know then what I know now, my action would be a little bit different with my kids. I used to be to the point where I would not buy for my kids if I couldn't buy for everybody else children that were living in my house or that were close to me. That was me. But I was young. I was young. I have my children very young. So just know I have a 38, 39-year-old. I have a 32-year-old. I have a 25-year-old and a 19-year-old that I have very later on. I think she got the best of me. She does not know that. The rest of my kid did not. But Liberia, that's the song, Liberian people. Let us struggle. Let's continue this process. I'll talk to you later. God bless all of you. Good day.